Hi, Lynette. Good morning.
Good morning, Fernando. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, feeling better. Um, I'm a bit calm today, so that should be good.
Glad to hear that you're feeling better. So, as we begin this conversation, I'm very curious to learn how we are going to honor this time and the conversation that you're going to create. So, as usual, if you needed anything to be fully present and grounded, what would you need right now?
I am fairly grounded. I'm just, as usual, as my style, I'll just take some deep breaths and I'll be fine. I'm
Okay,
fine.
I'll join you.
I'm okay.
Great. So, Lynette, what would you like to explore today?
Hmm. I'm still very much, I would like to explore, like to take a look at how I am feeling for my dad at the moment, if that makes sense. But yeah, I would like to explore more of that, my feelings, emotions around the topic of my dad.
Okay, would you like to tell me a little bit more about it?
Well, since my mom died, and I've been worried about him, although my sister and my niece and nephew live with him, but being far away from him, I still, have some concerns about his well-being, emotional state, and all that.
Okay, so you mentioned that after your mom's passing, you are concerned and worried about your dad and thinking about his well-being and emotional well-being. So, worried and concerned,
Mm-hmm.
what are they for you?
Well, it's just that because I've seen him, cry. I seldom see him cry, but when my mom died, he really sobbed. It was just heartbreaking for me because we were on video and he started crying, and then he started. I know him. He's a very cheerful person, but I sometimes I can't help the feeling that he's hiding his sadness and his grief, because every time I talk to him, he's always happy. But I'm pretty sure he misses my mom so much too. They've been together for 53 years, never been separated, and now this. So, and he's such a gentle person. Oh, I can't help but be emotional again with that, because I still remember our last conversation, and he's sick at the moment too. So everything comes together.
Okay, it's very understandable that you have intense emotions when you talk about this topic, and it's perfectly all right. Um, Lynette, how is this topic important for you to address?
It's important because I want to know what I can do. I can only do so much, and physical distance. I'm very far away, and is what I'm doing enough? Those are the questions that are coming to me. Are the calls enough? I don't know. What am I neglecting? Am I neglecting anything? How can I make him feel that I don't know. It's very difficult to find clear answers at the moment.
Mhm. Okay, so is what you're doing enough? Does he feel neglected? And do you make him feel reassured? If you parked all of these things in front of you and provided aerial vision to it, What meaning do you see in addressing this topic?
Mm. To be able to address this topic will, it's actually very important for me, for my dad to not feel lonely, alone, and loved.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's just that despite my mom's passing, he doesn't have to feel alone. I can't, it's just a vacuum that I feel is left in his heart. I know he misses my mom so much. Because whenever we do some videos, recording, maybe video calls, here, he's always right beside my mom's picture. Of course, it's very early, right? And I ask him, so what are you doing? He's trying to preoccupy himself with so many things. So yeah, I don't want him to feel alone, and that we're there for him.
Okay. Now that's a great intention. You don't want your dad to feel lonely or alone. And also you would like him to feel loved. That's a beautiful intention, Lynette. What is the meaning for you discussing this?
Well, probably a reassurance for myself
Mhm.
that I am, you know, doing all I can to
Mhm.
the best that I can. Um, it's important
Mhm.
because um, I don't I don't want, there's a fear inside that with my mom passing and my dad, okay, okay, the back of my mind, there's always this fear that he's my last parent, of course, right? I don't want him to go as well. He's not young anymore. That kind of fear.
Mhm. Okay. With the word meaning came reassurance for yourself, and you said that it's really important to you. And then also fear of losing your dad. Keeping all our exploration so far in mind, if I invited you to choose an objective for us to continue this conversation, what would that be?
Just for me to really feel, to lessen that worry
Mm-hmm.
and concern. Not lessen in the sense that I I don't want to magnify the worry and concerns myself,
Mm-hmm.
to because I think that's also one thing that is giving me a problem, so to speak. Am I worrying too much? Am I overly concerned? That's my question. So I would like to get rid of that.
Okay. So you have some questions for yourself, and then also you mentioned that not to magnify your worries, rather to lessen them. If you lessen your worries, what is it for you?
Um, Lessening my worry is not to be pulled down, because when I worry, I get pulled down emotionally, and
Mm-hmm.
tend to focus more on the worry more than the act of overturning it itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love that. I just would love to not worry and still do the things that I am doing for my dad, like calling him, entertaining him, chatting with him. But for some reason, that worry is there. So I want to shake it off
Mhm.
because it's not helping. I feel it. It's heavy. It's a heavy burden.
So, as you were saying, you are looking at building a nice relationship with your dad, as what the things that you said. And you
Mhm.
also said that it not being a burden. If it is not a burden, what is it?
If it's not a burden, then it's something that, I, because worry for me, it pulls me down. It slows me down. You know, I would want the worry to be gone, but instead just focus on, moving forward with my dad, with the family, moving forward from my mom's passing.
Mhm.
Because I don't want that worry to carry me.
Mhm.
I want I want something, because you know I'm also worried now to think about it. Anyway, just to use the word worry now. I'm also worried that I am projecting that
Mhm.
whenever I talk to him. And I don't want that. I want it to be light feeling so that he would also look forward to more of life instead of looking back.
Mhm. Okay. So you're saying moving forward with the family and live more life, more of life.
Yes.
What a wonderful intention. With that, Lynette, if you are to walk away from this session with something, what would be valuable for you?
Is to shake off the worry and concerns and just not to be um, riddled by it, not
Mhm.
to be overcome by it every time I think of my dad.
Okay. So shake off the worry so that you can move
Mm-hmm.
forward and create more of life with your family.
Yes.
Okay. So where would you like to begin this conversation?
Mm, maybe, find ways on and really look at why am I worrying so much. Again, I'm all about understanding. I want to know, why am I worrying so much? But I think I said that earlier. Now that I think about it, which because I'm afraid of losing another parent. Maybe that's where it's coming from. So I want to be able to know how I could get rid of, to change my mindset about it. Because it's the fact of losing a parent that just gives me all these worries and concerns.
What else?
Hmm. I was thinking that I, I should approach my dad with more lighter, you know, because okay, I see a pattern. I always ask him, so how's your health? Are you sleeping well? But then probably my tone, because it's coming from a worry part, so it's not about, it's a different thing. So I don't, I'm afraid that I am projecting some negative energy about it, which is worry, projecting the worry. Because it's very interesting how when I ask him those questions, I feel worried. So it's not a good place to be. Is I need to, change that into something. Hey, what have you been doing and all that? And it's a different energy. I need to do that. I need to be aware where it's coming from. Oh, I need to be aware where it's coming, because I have no awareness. Okay. I need to know where the questioning is coming from. I maybe it just came to me.
Okay. So you're being very thoughtful about how you project your communication and your own emotions
Yeah.
towards it.
Yes, that's the correct word. Being thoughtful about how I communicate. Yes.
And I think that's a wonderful intention, and being extremely kind to your dad. So
Mm.
where is it really coming from?
The
These
worry,
emotions, yeah, the worries and
the
concern you
emotions.
mentioned about, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's my own fears for of losing a parent, and also it's been too soon, and I've been because my dad has also the same illness as my mom with the feet. It's something about the leg, but thankfully he's not diabetic, which my
Mhm.
mom was. So, but he's under treatment,
Mhm.
and the thing is, I don't want the worry is coming from what if the questions like what if he's he gets sick. It's like being traumatized all over again with my mom. That's where it's coming from, the experience. And now I don't want him to undergo the same thing.
Mhm.
It's more of the memory of what my mom went through that I don't want him to go through again. So that's where the worry, the concern is coming from.
Okay. Now, as you started exploring where the worries and concern come from, you said it could come from your own fear. And as you continue
Mm-hmm.
to explore that, your energy drastically changed.
Mm-hmm.
Your face, you're looking down,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. And if I may invite you, what are those emotions trying to convey to you?
Mm. Well, when I started talking about fear, about him being sick, it's like all the memory from what I saw with my mom came back. So it was a bit heavy. Although at the same time, I feel a bit calmer than earlier,
Hmm?
which is very interesting. So those two things, it's like there's both of them are there. The fear, but then I'm calm, which is strange. But yeah, it's something something I want to, reconcile.
Mhm. So you're feeling a bit calmer at the same time, some fear. How would you
Mhm.
like us to continue this conversation?
I was just thinking, I'm keep thinking about why is it there? The fear is there, but I'm calmer, which is strange, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, Very strange. But I guess, identifying it, I mean, tracing it to where it came from, helps me to put
Mm-hmm.
my finger on it. It's more precise. I don't know what the word is. I know the origin of
Mm-hmm.
it, so being able to identify that,
Mm-hmm.
it made me calmer because I'm not dealing with an unknown. Because here, okay, this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to wonder
Mm-hmm.
extern in life and within myself. So mm, I'm more calm when I get to understand. I know what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to do that here in the fear and then calm,
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that since I was able to identify where it's coming from, because previously I wasn't sure. It was just that feeling of worry and concern where I cannot identify where is that coming from really, and I don't know, what to do about it. But now that
Mm-hmm.
it came clearly to me that I had this memory of my mom being sick, and this is what I'm projecting to my dad, then I know exactly where it's coming from. So I am calmer. It's like I can deal with that in a better way.
Mm,
So that helps
okay.
because that does lessen the worries now that I think about it, knowing where its origins. Mm.
Now that is interesting because we started this conversation by saying if you can shake off the worry, you can move forward with your life and create more of life. So where are
Yeah,
we with this and adding value to this conversation now?
yeah. I I feel more stable, less emotional, like less tearful than we started. Um, Being able to move forward, because this is part of that. If I'm going to move forward, I have to know to resolve the matter and see what I can do with that. So now I seeing that my mom is not, my mom's sickness and then my dad, then I can do some proactive things to, prevent that from happening again. This is what I mean when moving forward with it, which means, you know, being anticipating any ailments and taking care of that before it happens. So that kind.
Ah, now it makes sense to me. When you say move forward,
Mm.
you're looking for proactive things to do. So, what are these
Yeah.
proactive things that you would like to think about?
So because I was thinking before, my conversation with my dad revolved around, so how are you feeling? What are you doing? All that. There wasn't anything to look forward. So proactive things like, so what kind of medicine? Very practical ones, like what kind of medicines do you? When is your next? Something that has to do with, and also have to do with his health, and also probably, you know, saying things to him. Oh, you need to get well so that, if I get a chance, we can travel when I can come back. That could looking forward to certain really good bonding with family so that he can look forward to those kinds.
Great intentions. As you're talking about them, as you refer to them as moving forward, you also mentioned creating of life. How does that sound like now?
It's really, that feels lighter
Mhm.
because it's, it involves planning. Or what do we do next? We're trying that now, little by little, like, oh, what's your plan for New Year? But but when we do that, it always goes back to my mom, which then makes sad. But it feels lighter to be able to say, oh, let me see if there are flights now, then we can go have a holiday. And this setting of plans
Yeah,
for some fun stuff to do with family, so that everyone enjoys and continues living life joyfully.
that's
Mm,
wonderful to hear. And as you're talking about this plan of creating forward movement, I see that now you
yeah.
have lighter energy, smiling, and looks forward. It looks like your energy is
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Tell me more
Yes.
about it. How are you feeling?
I'm actually imagining scenarios of future plans of,
Mm,
reunions together and all that. And I'm also imagining my dad, um, already cured of his leg ailment, and he's happy, sleeping well. Yeah, that feels good.
great. So earlier you told me, I'll tell you who I am. And then you said, I don't like to wander. And now you created all of this forward movement. And when you have created that forward movement, who are you?
Who am I? Hmm. I'm. It's very difficult to. Who am I? Being able to do that forward movement. I'm. Oh, okay. I like. I'm going to quote my favorite. mythological, the phoenix.
The
I would
phoenix.
like to think that, it's rising from the ashes of worry and fear. For this moment
Mm-hmm.
alone, it's not something grand like the phoenix starting from the ashes, but for some reason it just gave me that visual, because that's moving forward, that's flying,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, being free from fear and worries and just soaring. That's how I feel. And it's my favorite mythological figure too. So
Of course. I'm not sure if you would remember during our very first conversation, you mentioned about phoenix.
I probably have. I have short-term memory loss now, but yes.
It's great to hear that Phoenix is in the background and shows up in these conversations time to time. And you said that when you fly, that's when you shake off the fears and really take off and create this forward movement. Right. So now, if we look back at the objective for this conversation, how are we adding value to it?
Whoa, it's I think we've traveled far from that first, energy wise, and also awareness wise, because now I'm very clear of where the worry is
Mhm.
coming from. Not just my mom's passing, but the situation where I saw her suffer from the ailment, which now I said I'm worrying that my dad would. So, but being able to identify that, it's really such a relief to at least put a finger on it, and from there find ways to move away from that, which I realized that I have certain control over. I can do something about it and not just feel lost.
What is that something that you can do in the future if you feel lost?
To try to really look for the origin, where it is really coming from. That's very valuable for me, to know where it's coming from, because it's not an invisible enemy, so to speak. If I see that, then okay, I can gauge what I can do. I haven't lost my faculties yet, so I know what I'll be able to do once faced with, for example, like a snarling dog, right? You
Mhm.
do you, it's like just an example, but yeah, that's very valuable for me.
Okay. I'm very happy to hear that. So now that you confirm we have created value for this conversation, if I invited you to call this a conversation today, how would you like to step into the space?
I'm very thankful. I would like to say that I am thankful because it's interesting. The worry seems to be less. I couldn't feel it now. I was just overcome before, whenever it's very emotional. So now it's less. I mean, it's there. It's still there, the emotions, but at the same time, I I am calm, which is important, which makes me think properly and be rational too, because it's easy to go into extremes, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm very thankful that I was able to identify where the worry is coming from, and that's
Ah,
very, very important for me.
wow,
Helps me.
excellent. So now that you told in the forward movement, doing some proactive things, if I mention the word support or
Mm.
accountability, what comes up
Mm.
for you?
Well, of course, I have to do it myself, but at the same time, I was thinking, have my sister and niece and nephew involved, so that we can all contribute into my dad's well-being, emotional, mental, physical too. since we're his family, we're small family, so we're the only ones there around him. So, and it's really important. Maybe we can plan surprises for him and, the fun things.
Mm,
Yeah. Help
that
each
sounds
other.
okay, wonderful. That sounds very exciting. And I'm so glad that you want to do this as a family together. And I think that's also very beautiful. So today, Lynette, during this conversation, you began talking about how to shake off your worries and concern and create forward movement with more of life. And it
Yeah.
was so beautiful how you went back to find out where it came from, and then how you identified some proactive action plan to create more of life. And I loved how Phoenix showed up and how you presented that beautiful energy, and your energy has completely changed, as you also mentioned. So wonderful. Thank you so much for honoring me with all this sharing and your time. I appreciate. And if there's nothing else, that's all from my end. Thank you.
That's all too. Thank you very much, Fernando, for this opportunity to discover so many things. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're very welcome. I will see you next week.
Okay. See you.
Bye.